So you want to write a novel. You've got an absolutely fantastic idea. You know what would make an absolutely fantastic book, but you feel just a little bit overwhelmed by the thought of actually starting to write it. Does this sound like you? Can you relate to that sentiment? I know that I can, because I've been in that position exactly 4 times now. Writing a novel is a major undertaking, and it is super daunting if you haven't done it before. But with the right approach and the right mindset, anyone can start bringing their story to life. So in this video, I'm going to share 7 tips on how to start writing your novel. These tips will take you from setting your goals to finding inspiration to actually putting pen to paper on your story, or more accurately, fingers to keys. So let's talk about that right now. But first, for those of you who've already written a novel and you're ready to start querying literary agents, I've got something that is just for you. It is down there in the show notes below. It is my query letter. It's a letter that I wrote to my literary agent to help get me a client deal with her, and you can take it. It's free. It's all yours. You can use it. You can compare it and contrast it with your own letter if you've already got one. You can use it as a basis for a new letter that you want to write. Whatever you want to do, it's yours. It's free. It's in the link below. Make sure you grab that before you go, and I wish you the best of luck on your querying journey. And now back to the video. So if you've always dreamed of writing a novel, you're definitely not alone. Many people aspire to write a book, but very few actually get to the stage where they do it. As I said before, it's a super daunting process, but with the right approach and the right mindset and the right methods to take you along the start of the journey, you can begin to bring your story to life. But don't be under any illusions. This is a serious, time-consuming effort. It's a significant undertaking. It requires dedication, hard work, and obviously a lot of creativity. And while it can be a super challenging process, it can also be a really rewarding one that leads to personal growth and, of course, major satisfaction in completing a project when you get to that stage. So here are a few basic tips to help you get started on writing your very first novel. Number 1, set your goals and create a plan. Before you start writing your novel, it's important to have goals and a plan for how you want to reach those goals further down the line. You got to start off by deciding on the genre of your book and the general plan for how the story is going to take place, i.e. what the plot's going to be. You don't need to have every single detail mapped out at this point, unless that's the way you work. It's not the way I work personally, but if it's the way that you work, that's great. You don't have to have everything sorted out right at the start, but certainly having a basic outline of the overall story will help you stay focused as you start off in this journey. Creating a writing schedule and sticking to that schedule is also really important if you want to get a book written. You can set daily and weekly word count targets to help you stay on track and keep motivated. For example, you might set a goal of 500 words a day or 2,500 words in a week, whichever works best for you. Creating a writing routine can help you develop that into a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it makes it a lot less overwhelming. Number 2, develop your characters. One of the most important aspects of writing a novel is developing compelling and memorable characters. Take the time to fully develop your characters before you actually put pen to paper. Consider their personalities, motivations, and their backstory. This will help you create well-rounded characters that the reader will care about and will root for as the plot progresses. To create strong characters, you have to ask yourself questions like, who are they? What do they want? What do they fear? What are their strengths and weaknesses? And if you can answer those questions, you can develop complex characters that your readers can resonate with and they can root for. Number 3, write the first draft of your novel. Once your plan is in place and your characters are developed as much as they possibly can be at the start, it's time to start writing that first draft. Absolutely don't worry about getting it right the first time. It's not going to be totally perfect. Nothing that starts off is ever perfect. Just focus on getting your story down on paper. I suggest writing your first draft as quickly as you possibly can. The goal is to get your ideas out of your head and onto the paper. And one approach to writing the first draft is to use what's politely referred to as the crappy first draft approach. This means that you essentially give yourself permission to write a first draft that's kind of messy and it's far from perfect, that you can come back to and revise later and improve. By letting go of the need for perfection, you can focus instead on taking the plot forward and developing your characters and just getting those ideas onto the page. Number 4, once you've got your first draft done, revise and edit your work. Once that first draft's complete, take a little break from writing for a while. And when I say a while, I don't mean a few days, I mean a few weeks. If you can manage a month or more, that's even better. For me personally, what I do is I literally don't look at my draft at all for at least a month. I just keep the file closed and then I come back to it after 4 to 6 weeks has passed and I see it with fresh eyes and then I can see all the glaring mistakes, the continuity errors, the places where the writing can be improved. Helps me see plot holes, inconsistencies, and just places where I can make the story better. And this is the point at which you need to not be afraid to make serious, major changes to your story. The goal is to create the best possible version of it before you take it forward and start fine-tuning it. And this is also the point at which, as well as making changes to the plot and the characters to improve them, you also want to check your writing style, make sure that it sounds really, really good, and try to keep it consistent all the way through. This is why it's important to write the story quickly. If you take a long time to write a story, it might start off having a certain tone of voice, and then a few months later, that tone of voice is totally changed, and it's almost like someone's reading a different story altogether. So in this instance, speed is of the essence. Try and get your story down as quickly as you can. And when you're editing the first draft, look for ways to improve the sentence structure, the quality of the dialogue, the way you use imagery and describe what's happening. Make sure your writing is clear, concise, and engaging on every single page. Number 5 of 7, get feedback. Once you've revised your work and edited it the first time, it's time to get feedback from other people. You get this feedback from what's called beta readers, and I'll talk about that more specifically in another video. But basically, you share your work with a few trusted family members, friends, or even people in another writing group. Just make sure you trust those people, you trust them to finish reading it and to not share that work with anybody else. It has to be just between you and them. And also make sure you take their feedback seriously and you use it to improve your writing. You cannot at this stage be afraid of constructive criticism. It can help grow you as a writer and ultimately make your novel an awful lot better. Number 6, keep writing. Writing a novel is a really long process. It requires a lot of persistence and dedication. It's really easy to get discouraged along the way, especially if you go through periods of writer's block. But don't give up. Keep writing and just push through those times whenever you find things more difficult. Remember that writing is a craft, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And finally, number 7, find inspiration. When you're writing, try and find inspiration in the world around you. Make sure you read widely in your genre and well beyond that genre as well. And actively get out into the world, take walks, visit museums, have a coffee with people. All of this can help you draw inspiration for your characters and your story. Sometimes you just need to give your mind a chance to reset and always be willing to explore new ideas and add new experiences into your story. Starting a novel can be really, really intimidating. Trust me, I know that personally. But with the right approach and the right mindset, anyone can bring their story to life. So set your goals, develop your characters, get your first draft down on the page, revise and edit that first draft, get feedback from other people, take that feedback on board, keep writing as much as you can, and find inspiration in the world around you before and after the process. And I genuinely believe if you use these simple, basic tips, you can start the process of writing a novel. You can get past that initial fear and actually start getting words down on the page, seeing your story come to life. And at that point, it's so exciting and you just want to keep on going. You'll pick up a head of steam and you just want to keep powering on through it. And honestly, that is the most important bit of advice I can give you. Just start writing. If the idea is there in your head, just start getting it down on paper. You can prepare all you like, and you should prepare, but don't let that preparation become an excuse or an obstacle to the actual act of writing. So just set aside a little bit of time each day and write. And the sooner you start, the sooner you get it finished. Don't forget, before you go, jump down to the show notes below, get my query letter. Even if you're not ready to use it just yet, you can download it, you can save it, you can come back to it later and use it as a template for your own letter. It's there, it's totally free, and it's my gift to you. As always, guys, thank you so much for your time. It's so good to spend this little bit of time with you on YouTube. Please subscribe if you can. Please like this video if you can. And pop some comments below. Tell me how you're getting on with your writing process. Have you started yet? Are you still preparing? What are you finding difficult about getting going? I'd be so interested to hear that. And if you haven't started yet, just start. You'll be so glad you do. Thanks for your time. Bye. Thank you.